Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sunday Drive, where I have yet to drive on a Sunday, but you'll be seeing it on a Sunday. Today's topic is going to be some reasons I love my E36 M3. It's kind of a follow-up to last week's video, because I was kind of hating on the car. Not really, there are a few things I found annoying about it I was just talking about, but there are more reasons to like this car than there are to hate it. So, number one, and this is going to be something that could be a plus or minus depending on who you are. To me, it's a plus. Is cable throttle. I love the cable throttle in this car. The cable throttle is awesome. A lot of people hate it because they're used to electric throttle. So they go to cable and are like, oh, this feels inconsistent. I'm not going to bore you with the science of why cable throttle is like inconsistent. But it's not linear. So a lot of people don't like it because of that. I personally, I don't really care. I don't know. Cable throttle, it feels great. It gives you the direct pedal feel that you kind of want in your sports car. New BMWs try to imitate cable throttle and like kind of give you pedal feedback, but it just doesn't feel the same as obviously a real cable being there. I mean, you can't really translate it into video, but the cable definitely feels better than electronic. I mean, if you want a like direct comparison, hop in an E36, drive it, and then hop in an E46 and drive it. You'll know what I mean. You just can't get that feeling with electronic throttle. So to sum up cable throttle, it feels nice. That's all you need to know, because that's all there is to say. It feels good. So moving on to number 3, or 2, sorry, I can't count today, apparently, is a lot of people don't know what this car is. So car people do, or more specifically BMW guys. Because even my friends that aren't BMW people, they saw this car for the first time when I bought it. They're like, oh, nice E36, like it's an M3. Like, no it's not. Like, look at the back, look at the VIN, like, it's an M3. Most people don't know. Like, obviously now they have the new one. But back in the day, everyone always thought that they just made coupes and verts. And they even verts I think are the rarest. No, actually they made more verts than sedans. Actually, yeah, because sedans are less than 10,000. Don't know if you knew that. At least for the US they were. Yeah, I'll get my buddy, Connor. We'll go to the gas station, go get some gas, right? And he'll just get approached by people. Hey, want to race me? Want to race me? I have a Civic. Right? But I don't think they're the hottest shit because they have a turbo on it. And they're like, oh, I'm going to beat this M3 driver. Like, that's kind of annoying. I imagine, you know, one time maybe it's funny, but I'm sure it gets old. I don't know, I'd have to ask him. He kind of likes the attention, but he's also had like 3 people try to buy his car off of him. Well, I've only had one. I've owned my car for like twice as long as he has. So, I'm not upset about that at all. But, yeah. Just having something that a lot of people don't know is kind of cool, because then when someone does approach you and they're like, oh, is that an M3 sedan? I love those things, right? And you just get that like cool reaction. It's kind of nice to see out of people, which is also like part of why I don't understand how people keep these cars locked up. Like, you have a cool car, like, you want to drive it. Like, how do you not want to drive it? Like, there was that one E36, I think it's a little brain trailer, like 2,500 miles. It sold for $80,000. Like, I couldn't pay 80 grand to buy a car I can't drive. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not for me. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the next one. Kind of going with the last one is it's uncommon. I mean, in this US, and it was about 8,500 M3 sedans they made. 3,500 of those were autos. So, which is kind of strange because it seems like there are a lot of sedans always for sale. But yeah, they only made less than 10,000. I think verts were like then 12,000. I don't know, I'd have to check my numbers again. Then coupes were like over 20,000 units. So I mean, there's less than half as many sedans as there are coupes, which is just kind of cool, right? And then it kind of goes into the last one, which is, you know, when you do see one, it's cool, it's nice. And then just for E36s in general, they made a lot of them, but these cars face a lot of attrition. So just seeing one is even an occasion, let alone an M3. I mean, I see probably a few E46s a week. I might see one E36 a month, maybe 2. Like, these cars are rare. So it's kind of fun when you see one, you give them the wave, and you know, they wave back, because it's only once or twice a month you're going to get to do that. Whatever it's worth, that is. But I don't know, it's just kind of fun in that respect. So moving on to number 4. Yeah, number 4. The smell. Obviously, this one's incredibly subjective. Well, technically these all are, but this one's very subjective. I like the way these cars smell. It kind of has like that old car smell, but not like your grandfather's 75 like Eldorado old car smell. Kind of has that like Mark IV crayon smell, except instead of crayons, it's more like whatever glue and leather they used back in the day. That's really the best way to describe it. I'm just guessing that's what it is. Or maybe it's the carpet, I don't know, because the trunk smells like, it's always very strong in the trunk. Maybe it's the carpet, I don't know, but it smells good. Hop in an E36 and smell it. And if it doesn't smell like anything, then hop in the trunk and smell it. Because the trunk will probably smell like it. Because, you know, people smoke, do weed, throw air fresheners all over the interior. Side note, if you're looking at an E36 and you see like, you know, maybe 10 to 20 black ice trees hanging off the mirror, don't buy it. The owner can't be trusted, car can't be trusted. That car, it's totaled. It's totaled out. Yeah, you don't know what they did to it. I mean, there could be holes in the frame. Like that car could be made of like duct tape for all you know. Like, who knows? It's got black ice hanging from the mirror, so I mean, you can't. That's the shadiest thing anyone could ever do anything. If they have some methamphetamine in the door card, it's probably fine. Just wanted to put that out there for any of those of you who are looking to buy one of these. Just something to look out for. So we're gonna move on to number 5, and that is gonna be the engine. Now, if you live in Europe, you guys got the good one. Well, better one. It's not even better. The US engine's actually more reliable and less finicky. I mean, just compare S54 maintenance to S52 maintenance. It's basically the same. If you don't have a frame of reference for a US car. But this engine's really fun to drive. It's torquey. Vanos sounds really cool. Which is something else that I kind of like about these cars over E46s. And that's the single Vanos sounds a lot cooler than the dual Vanos on the E46s. I don't know why, but something between them putting dual Vanos in there, they did something to the engine and it doesn't sound as cool. I mean, hop in an E36 and then hop in an E46. Well, with the colder intake, I had to specify. You probably won't notice it with the stock box. But it sounds really good. It's torquey, great mid-range torque, at least for an S52. If you have an OBD1 car, you might have less mid-range torque and more high-end because your intake manifold, which most people would say is better. But I guess it's just different. I'm gonna M50 manifold swap this car eventually. Not really sure why. The manifold just kind of been sitting in a box for 6 months maybe. I bought them before the prices went up because I figured I saw the prices coming up when the manifold's coming. I'm like, you know, I'll buy one now. So I bought them for $100. A few months later, I started seeing them sell for like $200, and I was like, yes. Which that was, I don't know. I felt good about that. It's probably one of the few purchases that I've made that I actually like. I bought the part at the right time. Because a lot of the other stuff I bought for this car, I've kind of just bought it and then didn't use it, sold it, lost a little bit of money, or just broke even and then wasted time, you know. As you sometimes do with car parts, you buy on impulse. But we're getting away from the video. Yeah, the engine in these cars are great. Nice power band. It's very linear. But with that said, let's get on to number 6. And this is going to be the last one. And that is nostalgia. Now, I am a kid of the early aughts, and during my childhood is when these cars became really cheap. And my father had bought one. He bought a 92 325i back in like 05-ish, give or take a year. So the car was over 10 years old. It was a 92, non-Vanos car, which is kind of cool. Obviously, he was just driving it, so he didn't care. But I kind of grew up in that car. He daily drove that car for like a decade. Oh, actually, it wasn't that long. It was like 7 or 8 years, but pretty close. So I spent a lot of my childhood in that car, and it just kind of, you know, it's fun to look back and remember that car and be like, yeah, I grew up in that. I actually, that was one of the first cars that I drove on the road because he still had it. Of course, by the time he was kind of done with it, the engine was knocking, it was rusty. wasn't really worth saving. Even now, it still wouldn't have been worth saving. If that car weren't as rusty and the engine wasn't knocking, I probably would have saved it. But instead, I did the reasonable thing to do and the responsible thing that any 16-year-old does, and I bought an M3. So I think I made the right choice. Yeah, these cars, obviously a lot of nostalgia for me, and obviously now, even just driving this car, I have a lot of nostalgia for high school now, just because obviously I drove this car in high school, and now I'm in college, and you know, I look back in high school, so it's kind of nice. It's just cool. You know, it's old, it looks old, because I'm not really going to mention the styling in this video, because that one's kind of, it's really subjective, and you know, anyone, if you're watching this video, you probably like the E36 chassis, so I don't have to mention it, but it just looks old, and you know, it really brings you back to a different time when cars were just made differently. Because this car, I mean, your luxury in this car, they have cruise control. That was an expensive option. Like cruise control, onboard computer, so I can see my like gas mileage, and you know, set a speed limiter so it beeps at me when I go over a certain speed. Like that was high tech. Right now, I like this car a lot because it's a full option car. And I got everything. I got the heated seats. I got the cruise control. I can see my gas mileage. I mean, really, you just get all sorts of goodies that are pretty much standard on most new cars. But anyway, yeah, just kind of fun in that respect. You know, nostalgia for the 90s. I didn't live in the 90s, but I like most of the cars that came out in the 90s. They just have a certain look to them, especially the black dashboards. A lot of companies seem to have been doing that back then, and then they're just kind of cool. I like them. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I enjoyed making this. Obviously, I like talking about things I like about this car rather than things I hate. Like, comment, subscribe. If you want any future videos, I think my next video is going to be a story video with this car. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.